Hello, can anyone hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hey, how's it going, Odessa?
Man, life is well. Life is well. Life treating you.
No, every day I get a little bit older.
Hey, that's God's giving you another chance, man. That's how I look at it. Yeah, out of the problems you can have in the world, that's a good one.
Right. So we got looks like I want to say Chels.
Yeah, it's Shelly.
Chelini? Hi, Chelini.
Shelly. Yep.
Oh, I thought I had my video on. I don't. Let me see if I need that. Do I need my video? Here, let me see. Let me add my video here. That didn't work. Video. There's video. It's gonna be awkward because I'm looking at my computer screen, but I see Odessa. I see Dr. Hardiman. Hi, Dr. Hardiman.
Hi, how are you?
Amazing. See, we'll probably just, I think there was about 6 or 7 people that were interested in this call. So I want to maybe just stall for like maybe 3 more minutes or so.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hi, Dion.
It was Dion.
Hey.
So before we get going, is there anything oblique that you want me to address or cover, or anybody for that matter?
Honestly, for what I saw, it looked like you had everything that I could think of already covered.
Okay. Just in case anyone has been, I guess fielding questions that maybe one of the smarter people than me on this phone can answer. I just kind of volunteered to help organize because I saw the brilliance in this idea, and so I was like, well, I think we can make this work with a little bit of, a little bit of guidance and guidelines. So see, we have a few more people just joined. I see Latasha and Jazz iPhone.
Yes, I'm here. I look a mess right now, so that's why my video is off. Maybe I should.
Hey, this is Jazz. I'm here. I'm driving, so I can't do video, but I'm here.
No problem. Yeah, I guess the video isn't mandatory. I mean, I'm having a bad hair day myself, so, but I figure, hey, how can I get everybody to trust a stranger if you're not looking at me? So I don't feel like I'm a stranger with anybody that's here on the call so far. I mean, I believe Oblique, Leslie, I don't already know Chell. I keep saying Chells. I'm sorry. I want to say Kells, or I don't know. I'll just stay out of it. So it's 1:05. So maybe we have just about all the people who wanted to be down. But let me just double check the Telegram real quick and make sure we're not missing anything. So is anyone here that knows of anyone else that wanted to join? Maybe Tondala?
Here. Tondala is here with me. Hi. So I turned on my camera, so.
Hey, guys.
Okay, hi.
We're together. Oh, sorry, I'm turning the light.
Cheryl? It looks like Cheryl or Suzette. Okay. So I believe this call is being recorded. So if anybody has any issues with that, please let me know. It's just recorded for those who wanted to join and couldn't. So hopefully there's not too much post-production I have to do. I can just put this in the chat and, you know, everybody can see the video. So I'll go ahead and look at the agenda that we sent. Here. Awesome. All right, so I'll quickly go over this. So the purpose of this meeting was to get all of us like-minded people on this call who care about making this community trust project work. Some of us are in bigger pots, smaller pots. Some of us have experience with successful pots and unsuccessful pots. So I think that, you know, our collective wisdom will make this a success. I've been putting in a lot of work in just trying to make the website as intuitive as I possibly can, but I'm sure that it could be more intuitive. So I just want to answer any questions that anybody has. Maybe we could break the ice a little bit, get to know one another just briefly. Not, you know, we're not going to go into, you know, our deep backgrounds, but just a little icebreaker for everyone to understand who we are. Review the process. I had this concept of a private and public flower that I wanted to share with everyone. So we could probably talk about that. And then we have these different, there's different ways that we can speed up our payment process or the way we transition through all this stuff. I thought Dion was talking to me. And then, so I kind of wanted to promote that idea of maybe one flower for a group with so few people. And we could talk about that, you know, whether that's a good idea or not. And then kind of emphasize this concept of group recruiting, because some of us aren't as extroverted as others or persuasive, you know, with presenting this opportunity to our friends and family. So I was kind of thinking that maybe we can tackle this as a group so everybody, you know, continues to support one another. And then I'll just talk about, you know, some of the website confusion and how we can make it more convenient for everyone. And then just review whatever our next steps are and conclude. I put these times up here as a guide. They're not cut in stone. We might get out of here in 20 minutes if we get through all this stuff, you know, but we definitely won't go past 2:30 for sure, because that's a lot of talk about this. So does anybody have any questions or anything about what is included in the agenda so far? So I'm gonna look at the camera, which is weird because I'm not looking at anything but the camera. No questions? Everybody's on mute. I see somebody else joined, Sabrina. Hi, Sabrina.
Hello.
Hi. Okay. So we reviewed the agenda. So what I was just thinking for an icebreaker, maybe everybody can just go around and just say your, you know, your first name or your nickname, whatever you want to go by, and maybe say what city or state you're from, and then I'll share, you know, maybe one guilty pleasure, and I think that'll be pretty fun. So I'll start it off, and we'll just go down and I'll call people's names. But my name is Spurgeon Thomas. I live in San Diego, California, here with Dion, you know, and I would say that one of my guilty pleasures is dancing to ratchet rap music when nobody's looking, with my shoes off and my tongue sticking out. So I'm like one of those, like, that's, I like to be a little bit ratchet when I swing. So that's a guilty pleasure of mine. You guys can feel free to roast me if you want to. So we'll go ahead and move on to Oblique.
Hi, my name's Odessa. I'm in San Diego, California. I don't really have any guilty pleasures. I own everything I do with full acknowledgement is me. So that's about it.
I ain't gonna put you on blast, Oblique.
Hey, you can't put me on blast because I'm okay with everything.
No, I'm just
Whatever it is, that's my truth. It's all good.
Just joking. Cool. Well, Latasha and I forgot, I was somebody else in that room with her as well. But
Yeah, so it's Tondalay, and I'm Latasha. You guys could just call me Tasha. We're in Atlanta, Georgia. That's where she's from. I'm originally from Jersey. And I don't think I have a guilty pleasure either. I like snacks, so I snack too much, kind of like Twizzlers and cashews. It's kind of weird, but yeah, that's me.
Hey y'all, I'm Tanda Lay. Peace and love. You know what I mean? I'm from Atlanta, born and raised, and my guilty pleasure is I love macaroni and cheese, like of any kind. I don't care if it's in the Kraft box, deluxe, Kroger brand. I love mac and cheese. Your grandma, I just love mac and cheese. Like it is what it is. So that's me, and I'm happy to be here. So, whoop whoop, go Wildcats.
Wildcats, is that Kentucky?
Fort Valley State. It's HBCU.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, you're bad. Check yourself. Check yourself.
Awesome. Well, welcome, Tondalay and Tasha. It looks on my list, it would be Leslie next.
Hi, I'm Leslie. I was born in Detroit. Is that what you said you was first? Where we were born in our guilty pleasure?
You can make it up as you go, but I was just saying.
Well, I've been in San Diego for a long time. So my guilty pleasure is couponing. I can stretch $1 out of anything. So that is my guilty pleasure. And now that I'm off for the summer, that is what I'm doing full time, is couponing and hustling and trying to make some money. So,
do you have any coupons for mac and cheese?
For mac and cheese? Yeah. Like the Kraft kind, but not the Black people kind, no.
Okay. Awesome. Welcome, Led. Sabrina.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sabrina. I'm originally from San Diego. So it sounds like we're deep on this phone right now. What's up, my peoples? I currently live in Vegas, and my guilty pleasure is partying. Like, I ain't even gonna lie. Get a bottle, get some homies, and let's go shake our tail, especially around some good music. You gotta be in a venue with good music, though. And that's it.
I probably see you somewhere partying in San Diego. I've been practicing the butterfly now for about 30 years, and so I'm almost got it down, but I still do it anyways. Welcome, Sabrina. And so, we have to pop a bottle once we all get money.
Yes, for sure. Absolutely.
Okay. And, all right, we have, I don't want to keep butchering names. Chelani?
Nope, it's Shelani like Melanie, but Shelani.
All right. I need to write that down. Can you take
That's
that note?
all right.
Shelani.
Shelani. I'm originally from Chicago, but I live here in Vegas. My guilty pleasure would probably be wine and just coming up with new drink concoctions and make people try all of my drinks.
Yeah, it sounds like we got a party brewing.
Yes.
My screen, welcome, Shelani. Dion is next. So Dion, we're just saying a name, where we're from, and a guilty pleasure. I can see, but you're on mute.
Hi everybody, I'm Dion. I live in San Diego, but I'm from Los Angeles. And my I wouldn't call it a guilty pleasure because I'm not ashamed, but I'm a foodie. And before I got pregnant, I was a wino.
Awesome. Welcome, Dion. I want to say this is Jasmine, but Jazz's
Yep.
iPhone. Okay.
Hey, yeah, that's me. Sorry, guys, I'm driving right now. But my name is Jasmine. I go by Jazz. I am currently in Jersey by way of Brooklyn, New York. And my guilty pleasure, I would say, are making sauces. I have to have sauce on literally everything. If something does not come with the sauce, I will gather whatever condiments, ingredients are around, and I will make one. I literally make sauce for everything, and I need lots of it. So, yeah, that's me.
Jazz, aka Sauce Drops. My thing shifted around. So, Brandy, you're on mute if you're talking, but welcome to the call.
Sorry, I am sitting in a car at Eden, waiting for my husband to get plants. So I'm juggling the kids in the car. But here you go, Beth. There you go. I am from Tulare, California. As of right now, we live in San Diego. My guilty pleasure would probably be bad reality TV, like 90 Day Fiance, The Other Way, Before the 90 Days, Love After Lockup. I like all that trash. I ain't gonna lie. So, yeah, it's trash.
Hey.
So, yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Welcome, Brandy. Thank you for sharing. I can't do the reality shows, but
I told you it's a guilty pleasure. I do it while I'm doing laundry.
I know. I guess I'm just being, I'm not judging you. I'm judging myself because last time I liked reality shows was like Real World, MTV. And so I canceled MTV a long time ago before they canceled Nick Cannon. So I haven't been watching much reality since Real World. But
I watched the reality TV for him.
Yes, she actually does. All right. Well, thank you guys for sharing your guilty pleasures. Hopefully we know a little bit about everybody that's on the call a little bit better. So here, I just wanted to talk about this process. Now, personally, I've heard about susus in many different forms. I've heard about them, as families putting things together, communities. I've seen them in various shapes, in various, I guess, lot sizes, if that's a word. And so I've always wanted to join one of these. So when my friends brought me into the previous flower that eventually broke off into this flower, which I don't know how, but it did. I thought, I can't let this thing go. I want to help make it better. I see the vision. It's all about prosperity and abundance. And if people continue to have that prosperous and abundant mindset, then you'll keep receiving the gifts that the universe has for everyone. So I just try to do my part. I'm a little bit of an IT geek nerd kind of guy. So I figured, hey, this is an easy business administration problem to me. We could throw a website together, put a little bit of process behind it. And if everybody sticks to the process, we should all continue to grow and get paid well into the future. And so I just felt like with a little bit of guidance, some of the risks that could come up in situations like this, we can address them up front and try to knock them out. Now, I guess maybe some people on this call, I'm pretty sure, have been a part of other groups that are successful. Do you mind just sharing for like a minute or two? Anybody who has experience with a project like this, either currently or in the past? And I won't pick on any names, but I know Leslie has. So Leslie, would you mind sharing a little bit?
Yes, so I am actually a part of two outside of this one. So there is one that I joined. My brother-in-law gave me, added me to one where it's $500. And so I put my $500 in, and the premise of that is every 3 to 4 weeks you get 4,000 back. And so it's the same exact premise as this one. You put in 500, you get 2 people, and then you build on that. And then every week you're in a different stage until you get to the watering stage, and then you get watered. The thing with that one is that one is residual income, because every month you get your $4,000, because every month your 8 people are paying you $500. And they're getting 4,000 from their people. And the only thing about that one is that basically you're promising that when you get your 4,000, you're re-watering the person who you watered in the first place. So you get 4,000 back, but you're initially giving your 500 back to the person who you watered in the first place. So you make 3,500 every 4 weeks. So that's how I got brought into it. And then when my brother-in-law introduced it to everybody, we were like, can you start off at 100? And he was like, no, we got to start off big, because he got brought in by somebody for the 500 one. So that's how I started off. And then when I was telling Dion and Spurge about that one, I think Matt and Jason had already told Spurge about the $100 one. And so that's how I got into this one. So, yeah.
Awesome. Anyone else have, so I know I don't get into the chat group too much, but I think I've seen a lot of messages and stuff coming from Tondale. I say the word right? Tondale.
Tondale, yeah. Or you call me T.
T.
Yeah.
All right. All right. But yeah, there was a lot of stuff going back. So do you guys have experience with this in Jersey or ATL?
This will be my first. Well, I'm in a $500 one that I just entered in today, actually. And so I haven't, this is I just watered my flower, whatever. And then this one, but I've had my mom, they did one like years ago. She told me that, theirs was successful. It was a bit different. Like they weren't bringing people in. They just kind of rotated the few people that was in it. And then my brother said he did one, and he said it worked out. He got paid for it or whatever. But I tried to bring him into this one, but some people just don't really feel like doing the work or managing the flowers. So that's just that with him. But yeah, I've heard good things about it. So I believe in the system. I know that this can work, and I want us to help each other.
Awesome.
Also, I'm in the $5 one as well. I'm 500. I'm sorry. $5. Woo. I'm in 500. And this is my first time as well into that one. I heard about Susus a long time ago. I think my first experience was in college, and one of my college roommates, she was actually interested in opening up her own hair care business. So she would go out to different vendors, which was most likely Asian descent, and they would deny her because they would tell her that they keep it within their family and their friends. And they explained to her how they would start their business and how they went about it. And so that was my first time ever hearing about it. And then once quarantine came around and Corona, I was contacted by several people about the opportunity. And I'm just like, you know what? At first, I was kind of not into it because I didn't fully understand it. And it took me a couple of times to understand it and really wrap my head around it. And I had to see it visually to understand the benefits and how it would help not only myself, but people around me. And so once I really had the full understanding, I got excited. I was just like, yo, I just want to tell everyone, especially my family, because I want to make more money, and as I make money, I want them to make money. And if you really set it up to where you know who's paying you, and whoever you bring in is going to be someone that you know or somewhat connected to you. So I'm happy that we have this opportunity to talk to each other, because I feel like it's just going to make us stronger and make us more hungry and ambitious to like grow it, because we all are taking the risks like by doing it. So we went together, and yeah. Sorry,
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. I don't know if Sabrina, are you talking? Okay.
Yeah, well, no, I was waiting till there was a blank statement, but I totally 100% agree with you, Latasha. And I actually reached out to Spurge and Dion privately within our circle of trust. I believe it was around your birthday or the day after. It was right after Spurge actually put a comment on the circle of trust chat about the $500 Susu, because myself and Shelly, who is also on the call right now, we're in another Susu for a $1,400 input with a $11,000 payout. So we actually have our aunt in the Susu as well, Aunt Susie, that joined recently. And once we found out about this opportunity, we figured, you know, the same thing that kind of like Latasha was speaking into, and kind of like where we're all kind of coming from. We want to, you know, use opportunities to, you know, grow from each other and, you know, spread the wealth around, but also get solid, committed people that have the same vision that we do and that are on the same page as we are. Because as we know, the flowers will be stagnant if they don't continue to move, you know. This is the second Susu that I'm getting into. The $1,400 one, you know, is the only other one that I know about, and I haven't even been through the full process of it yet. But it's very promising if everyone, like I said, is on the same page and the flow continues to go, and you get people that are committed to do the same thing. And when you get out, it's most important to continue to, you know, go back in to support the other people that follow behind you. Because if you just go through the process one time and then walk away, then, you know, all the people beneath you, if they're struggling, then they don't get to see the same fruits of the labor, you know.
Dion, can you keep note of some of the concerns? So when recruiting, has anybody received like pushback or I guess doubt that maybe we can help address either through our process or through information? Anybody can raise their hand, but what's the biggest pushback you received? And maybe I'll just jump at Odessa. You know, I'll just put you on the spot.
No, for me,
the biggest pushback for me has, oh, I'm so sorry, Odessa. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's all good. So for me, the biggest pushback has honestly just been the trust that they'll get through the flower. You know, if someone else's issue can stop them from getting through, and then they're stuck having paid in but don't have a way of going through themselves. And what I did, I put like 19 people on a call, and 8 have already done it before, but a couple of them had bad experiences. Like out of the 8 that did it before, 3 had a bad experience, and it kind of like messed up the whole call. I didn't really have any good answers. So I'm like, dang, I should have done this individually, one by one, to kind of like, you know. And so I've been trying to like.
Trying to do small doses. I'm sorry. I didn't realize we were unmuted.
Because we have a conversation. Shit.
Yeah.
Oh. Sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. But yeah, so that's been the biggest thing. And that's been the biggest thing. And I think I should have just done everything like individual, but that really is the biggest thing that has come up, is that trust kind of thing. You know, like how I know I'm gonna get through it.
What was that? Was that the bad experience they were referring to?
I think you're muted. Are you muted? I don't think so.
Mhm.
Can you guys hear her talking?
Mhm. Yep.
Okay. Okay.
I was asking though, was that the bad experience they were referring to, that they didn't get through the flower?
Yeah, the three that had a bad experience, they were able to get through the flower. The other 5 did. They had a good experience. They just didn't want to do it again. But the 3 kind of poisoned it for the other 10 people or so that were on the call. For, as far as like that I had in the call at that same time.
But the fact that they were even on the call is like, do they still have some kind of faith in it? Did they say they would be willing to? I don't know.
Well, I started like as like I've been getting more answers from from Dion and Spurgeon. I've been going back to people individually, and I got a couple of takers. So, but yeah, I kind of like wish I would have kind of done that way from the beginning. I think it would have been a lot easier because obviously at least they were all okay to like at least listen. You know what I mean? So I felt that like by me doing it that way, I kind of made it harder on myself than I needed to. But I just stepped into it.
Yeah.
And YouTube. Okay. Shelly?
Yeah, so the first thing that I've heard from the few people that were against it was their first thought was, oh, I've heard of it's a pyramid. Oh, I've heard of it's a scam. People keep saying it's a scam. And at the time, I hadn't been through it enough to be able to fully explain it. But I feel like the biggest, now that I'm in it and I see it and I can visually see the flowers, it's much easier to explain to people if they're in person. They can come look at your phone and look at the flowers and look at the chat and see how it really works. Because once they do that, I feel like it's more real, because it was hard for me to understand until I started seeing the flowers when my aunt put us on hers. And then I think the biggest thing is that from what I've been experiencing in this Susu, when I've tried to get people on, younger people are hard. So I've put in money for people, say, okay, I'll put in the $100, you just get your 2 people. But when people don't have to do the work, especially the younger people, then it's like, it's just dead. They're not really looking for people. So then it's like, okay, well, I put in the money for it and you're not even getting the people. So now I'm kind of learning like, okay, maybe I'm not really going to spot people anymore, or at least the younger generation, because they don't want to do the work. So that's just been my experience so far. The big one that we're in, the $1,400 one, those people seem to be very committed. And I think it's because it's such a large amount of money that you're putting up, like you're going to do that work so that everybody can get paid out. So that's just what I'm seeing.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So Dion is collecting some notes, and I think what would be a good idea is maybe have like a frequently asked questions section, either in Telegram or on the website. Whether if we continue to use the website or not, it's here. I just created it as a tool. I'm not in this to take control of anything. So if there's previous administrators and all that, I'm just doing my part and, being somewhat of a nerd about it. So
really quick, Spurge, for me, what's been the biggest thing is getting the 2 people. It's the same thing. So I have some people who are like, especially, yes, exactly what Shelly just said, my younger people, they're like, yeah, I'll give you the 100, but I don't have the 2 people. And that's what I've been hearing. And so for some people, I'm like, okay, like you have the 100, but if you don't have the 2 people, that's pretty much what's slowing the flower down. And so if you have your 2 people on deck or waiting to go, then the flower will speed up and it'll just be continuous until you run out of people. So that's been the hardest part for me. And then same thing with they think it's a pyramid scheme or they think it's a scam. They don't want anybody taking their stuff. Taking their money. That was the huge thing about the $500 one. But the $500 one to me was the most, like, I think it's Shelly who said they're doing a $1,300 one. That's the one that I feel like was the most committed because there is so much money, you know, on the line. But even getting the 2 people for that was kind of hard. But that is the big thing for me, just trying to recruit as many people or have a little database of people who are ready and willing to come in so we can just move flowers along regardless if say one person doesn't have their 2 flowers, their 2 people or fires or whatever you call them, having enough people ready to go in to where you can just fill those spots. But it's hard to have those conversations because, you know, people have done, somebody said they saw one on Facebook and it was a $50 one and she lost her $50 because people just stopped joining. But she was younger too. So that's been the biggest thing, is trying to get people, like my flower right now, like all those people signed up, but the only person who came through with their 2 people was Cena. And then the rest of them like, oh yeah, I'll have it on Friday. Yeah, I have 4 people waiting. And then when it was time to pay, then they're like, oh, they dropped. So now I'm kind of stuck trying to find people to fill those spots. So that's been the hardest thing.
I'm just gonna agree with what Leslie said too. That's been my issue too. I have people who are willing to give the money, but they're like, I don't have anybody, I don't have 2 people to bring in. So I've just kind of been holding them on standby, trying to recruit as many people, like Leslie said, so that I could strategically place them to where they don't necessarily have to have their 2 people. I have 2 people that can come in under them that have 2 people. So that's how I've been trying to manage that piece.
Dion, that's smart. Maybe we should like just start collecting names of people who are willing to do it, but don't have the 2 people in there work together to start filling the flowers with that. That would be smart.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion, Leslie. And I think that's kind of like what we sort of did this last go around, right, Dion, with one of the gentlemen that went under one of, I believe it was one of our supports, either Shelly's or Tamika's person, Alex. He ended up putting up money, but additional money from the conversations that we had, and it ended up supporting 2 flowers. So if there's a way, if there's a rhyme or reason where we can do that, then by all means, I agree and think that we should, you know, charter those waters to keep these flowers blooming and blossoming.
Awesome.
So for me personally, the struggles, I feel the same way, everything that everyone said. Initially, it was getting everyone to sit down and actually, because I created my own type of presentation, kind of like what Spurgeon is showing in the background right now. It kind of looks similar to that. But in order for people to understand it, by me just talking to them, it's kind of hard for them to grasp the concept. So a lot of people are visual. So it's easier for them to see like a flower and how it's set up. So once you get those people to listen, you have to help and make sure they fully understand how the rotation works, because a lot of people get caught up on that, like, wait, who am I paying and where my money coming from? So once they hear like, oh, I could make this much money, it sounds good, but then they may not have the full understanding. And then once they do have the full understanding, they're like, oh, I don't think I can convince 2 people or find 2 people who's willing to do it. So I feel like it's a good idea that if a lot of us know at least one person who's willing to join but don't have 2 people, we make a list and we just add those people to the list, and we basically doing the work for them. Like, hey, you may not have 2 people, but this person on that list, we have a list of 10 people that want to join. At least we moving the flower along, or the wheel, or whatever you want to think about.
So what about possibly like condensing the flowers when it comes to some of the flowers having gaps, some just need one person? Because like, I mean, I'm new to this one, so I don't know if you already do that, but you know, with 3 or 4 flowers going, you start to see gaps. What about condensing some of the flowers so that people can get paid out quicker and then start new flowers, and just kind of just putting people where they need to be so everybody's getting paid out?
So that was kind of a thought in how we were thinking about going with the 1 flower. I don't know if Sergi wanted to jump into. that, or is that later?
Where are we at in the agenda? What time is it?
Have to
1:40?
get buy-in from people because I guess fires are so hard to come by. People are like, these are my fires, and not really thinking community, right? 'Cause if we move some fires around so that other people can get paid, it's gonna come back to you, and you'll get a fire to get paid as well. Some people might not be thinking in that aspect, but we were kind of thinking of that being part of the brainstorm of how we keep things moving along. So again, I don't know if you want to just step into that.
Yeah, so I'm sharing something on my screen. I see I don't want to cut your wisdom, Shalini. Do you want to go? You can go. I see her hand up.
Sorry. No, I'm good.
Okay. So I'm sharing on the screen. So I kind of like not programmed. I mean, this is just an Excel with a bunch of functions behind them. And so right now in the middle of this one, right? So anytime I select a person's name, right, that person's flower gets populated, so to speak. So Matthew Allen brought in Larry and Michelle. Larry brought Nicole and Sabrina. Nicole only brought Jamal. So we can quickly see there's a gap here, right? Nicole and Jamal might not even really be there. So I think he canceled out. So she's basically missing 2 fires. So this flower is essentially stagnant, right? It's not gonna move until we help Nicole, get 2 fires, right? So Matt can just be waiting indefinitely, right? In this scenario. So I started thinking, well, maybe then if we have like this concept of a public flower, which isn't necessarily based on who you bring in, but just what time you came into the community. So in this example, right here, I'm not selecting Michelle's name, right? This is a function that's basically choosing which of the waters has been in the pool for the longest time. So Michelle has been waiting to get paid the longest. So she's appearing here first, okay? And I'll just skip these other 2 for now. The fires, these fires didn't necessarily, so Dave and Simone didn't necessarily come in through Alonzo. They just came in, so these guys are the fires who have been at the fire level the longest, meaning they haven't paid yet. They're still waiting to pay. So the person who's been waiting to pay the longest is appearing here, right? So we have this complete flower is basically complete because it's just based on conditions. So if we did it this way, the fires who've been waiting the longest will pay the water who's been waiting the longest. And as soon as Michelle is paid, right, and I'll just jump over here and pretend like Michelle is paid. Wherever she is, where's Michelle? Where's Michelle? I'm gonna say, oh, that's not Michelle. This is Michelle. Which one is Michelle? There's too many Michelles. Here. So Michelle is a 4. I'm gonna pretend like she got paid. I'm just changing her status to paid. So now that I've changed her status to paid, the next person who is a water appears here, right? The next person who's been waiting the longest to get paid. Let's say Danielle pays, right? Let's say Danielle pays. I should have did this in the test site, so I'll have to go back and clean this up. But wherever Danielle is, here. Let's say she pays, so she's no longer a 1, now she's a 2. In the public flower, she's no longer here, right? So now it's the next person who's been waiting the longest, Dave. So as you can see, this flower will just continuously be going and updating as people move through the process. So once Amber recruits 2 people, now she'll move through the process, right? But nobody is dependent is depending specifically on Amber to get her 2 people, if that makes sense. Does anybody have any questions so far? Because I know that's a lot.
So it's pretty much like, as far as if a flower gets stuck, based off of who's been waiting the longest, it populates to move them through with the fire that's been there the longest as well, to push it through, and then the next, like that, to keep it flowing, no matter who or what is holding it up. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, one other thing, I took Dion's advice, and I talked to my sister Ola, and she was down, so I got her. But what I told her, though, as a stipulation, what I told her is that, like, you know, it's 800, but she's gonna get 700 because she has to go another round. And she was like, yeah, that's cool. So I told her, as a, you know, as part of being that, she has to put, you know, she has to go back in the round, so she'll receive 700 for 100, and she'll go back another round, see another, you know what I mean? And maybe that's something we could kind of implement too. Now, I told her that directly, but I know it's not part of the group thing right now. And that way we can always make sure we have people flowing back through too as well, especially if we're gonna do like a public one, you know what I mean?
Yes, I think that's a good idea. I see some people went off mute, so I'm just pausing in case you have any questions.
So I understand the idea of this public flower, but I just feel like this may become stagnant in a way because some people may not do the work because they're not required to. You know, it's like the ones who, you know, are interested in joining, so they join, but then because they're not bringing in 2 people, it's kind of like they rely on everyone else to kind of pick up that slack, even though they're moving along in the process. So I don't want to. If everyone commits to, you know, still continue to bring in 2 people, it would definitely get us all paid faster. But yeah, if everyone's not required to bring at least 2 people, I just feel like it's going to slow it down.
I kind of agree too with that also, because I mean, I've already seen a couple of people that have just basically tapped out and said, you know, I don't really want to ask people. So then it's like, okay, well then we're going to all be stuck because you don't want to ask people, and that's part of the process.
Do you guys think that if we had one, I mean, like Spurgeon said, the only thing now is that I'm like trying to look at the flowers that we have right now and trying to see, because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, I think 5. But if we did put it to where we ask people, hey, do you want to join? Could we fill a database faster with a bunch of people who wanted to just put in $100 and be ready to go? Or faster if we said, you know, you want to do it and bring 2 people in? Because I am part of one, another $100 one, but my problem with that one is that it's like 4 to 5 weeks to pay out. And honestly, we've been doing this one for 2 weeks and I'm already in the watering, you know, cycle. So I feel like it goes by faster. But this Telegram group, it had 200 people when I first joined, and now they're up to 400 people. And that is from them saying, hey, you want to join $100 one, but you don't have to worry about bringing 2 people. You just join with $100. And you don't have to put your $100 in. What they do is every Monday, they'll send 8 people's names. I mean, I'm sorry. Yeah, they'll send maybe 5 or 6 people's names with 8 people's names under it. And those will be those people's fires. And so they say, hey, send this out. Like these 8 people, you send your $100 to this person. And so like that is how you don't have to worry about recruiting. But the thing is that they have so many people, you know, it is trying to try to bring as many people in because they don't have to get the 2 people, but it just takes longer to get paid out because there's so many people. So I gave my $100 for that one, I think June 30th. And supposedly this next Monday or tomorrow or Tuesday is when I'm supposed to get paid out, because it's like a 4-week 3 or 4 week cycle because there's so many people. But I feel like if we, just got a bunch of people
Uh-oh.
willing to do the 100,
Did I lose her?
can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah,
If
I
we
can't
got a
too.
bunch of people who were willing to do the 100, and we just kind of had them on deck because we were only paying out one person at a time. And then, once that one person gets paid out, then they go back in. We might be able to fill fires a lot. Fill flowers a lot faster. Still trying to recruit because you're still trying to get people, maybe 1 or 2 people to come in with like, hey, do you want to join $100 one? Just try to bring as many people as possible because you don't have to find 2 people, but we're still are trying to find 2 people, but we're just framing it differently. Like, hey, just, tell people about it. I don't know. I just know that that's the main thing that's been hanging me up is the 2 people, but I have so many people who want to join, but I'm saying, well, let's just wait because I don't want to get stuck. But if
Right.
we combine the flowers and then we're only paying out one person at a time, it might go a lot faster.
So would it be a smart idea if all of us just create a list of people who we have that want to join that don't have 2 people? Because that's just something I started to do, but I got tired because that was me doing the work for all those people. So that was me reaching out to all those people. But if we all could, all of us together have a list of 10 people, we would get paid already. A lot of us would have been watered already a lot quicker. So I think that's an excellent idea if we could do that.
And for like, I don't know if your algorithm right now Serge, lines up with, because of
One
some.
second, guys. I can barely hear because I got like an echo and my speaker is malfunctioning. All right.
If I don't know if your algorithm on the computer lines up with the flowers that we currently have, if people didn't fill in the application the right way, including myself. But if we had it where I think Michelle got paid out, for example, I'm just looking at the flowers that I see on the Telegram. So Michelle, I think, got paid out except for one person because she was missing one person. And then I think Samantha or Jasmine got paid out maybe except for one person. But if we could do it to where the people like start with Michelle, like the next fire who came in, she would get paid that 100 and then she would be done and we close hers. And then we go to Sabrina or go to Jasmine because she only had one person and then do hers, and then go to Samantha and then go to me, and then once all the purples get paid out, then we move it along and then we just go, but we're filling up 1 fire at a time or 2 fires at a time, trying to hurry up depending on how many fires we have. But I don't know if the algorithm matches up with the flowers that are on the Telegram.
The private ones should, but however, this information is based on if we update the spreadsheet, right? If we don't update the spreadsheet, this isn't going to be correct. So far, you guys have access to the printed flowers. So I believe this information here matches with printed flowers. But again, so I guess I skipped over the process part. So if we don't follow the current process, then this algorithm isn't going to work. The private one, or the private one is insisting that we do the recruiting part, right? It's because it won't move along if you don't bring 2 people. It's a simple math problem. To address what Leslie's saying, if we took the strategy of let's just host like a weekly Zoom call or a monthly Zoom call where we just invite a bunch of people and then we hope to get 20 of them to sign up. Then if we did it that way, where it's more of like a group, like it's a team effort to bring in people, then the public flower, I'm calling it the public flower, but this is the one that's just based on timing. And so I did some calculations on the different scenarios. Please excuse my nerd for a second. Where is this? Here. So I was like, well, how can this work? Because so currently we have Larry's flower, Jasmine's flower, Samantha's flower. I have this ideal flower, which is a scenario that I would like to propose. And then here's the current combined flower scenario. Right now, Samantha's flower is the slowest. They've been in for about 30 days and they only have 2 fires. So I was like, well, what are we trying to find out here? Well, what's the water rate, right? What's the rate that, how many days is it going to take for me to get paid? I gave you my 100, I joined. How long is it going to take for me to get paid? At the rate that Samantha's flower is growing, which is 2 fires every 30 days, everybody in that flower won't get paid until 2025.
What?
That's if they keep growing 2 people every month, right? That's extremely slow. In this case, right, this ideal flower, which is the opposite of that, let's say we're getting 8 people every single day. 8 people join every day. For all those people to get through that fire, they would all get through in less than a month, right? Yeah, a few. All 15 people in the flower would get through in like a couple weeks, basically. So we have a middle flower, right? Larry's people, they finally got about 8 fires, but it took them a whole month to get 8 fires. If they continue at that rate, the next person won't get paid until August 18th. And the final 15th person won't get paid until 2021. So I'm basically just showing this to say, if we continue to do these private flowers, some of the flowers are going to move extremely slow and people could get frustrated.
Well, if we continue to do the private flowers and people aren't actively recruiting.
Yes,
And
I'm saying if we don't grow, yes.
Larry's flower is now mine because Larry got paid out at the beginning, I think Thursday or Friday. So
Yeah. I was just using his because we had some data on how long it was taking him.
But yeah, it is. You're right. It all depends on those 2 people per person and how fast we get those people. Because if we have people waiting on deck, you could seriously pay a flower out in 1 or 2 days and continue to keep going if you had that many people just waiting to get in. So yeah.
Right. So if we had like this community, like, hey guys, come join us on this call on whatever, let's say we pick a day, the first Sunday of the month or something like that. We all have our list of people who've seen this, who believe in it, and they're like, yeah, I'll join a community, and we bring those 20 or so people all into the call and just feed them through the system. People are going to get paid out much faster because they'll be following, this algorithm that is basically just saying first come, first serve. You come in, you get out. You come in, you get out. I don't know what just happened here, but I don't know why I did that. Did I just change something? Oh, I'm on the test. Never mind. So, I was kind of leery about even doing this. I was like, man, is this real? Like, is this really how long it would take? Because I'm currently in this flower. So even though I brought, quote unquote, 6 people who all paid, I'm stuck in this flower and I won't get paid possibly until a few years from now. At the rate we're going. Somebody could just all of a sudden go to a family reunion and their whole family might be like, oh, you know what? That's a good idea. Let's do it. So, I'm just using, some empirical data here. And so that's why I'm advocating for more of a group approach to recruiting or whatever ideas that we want to come up with. But I just wanted to share this with you guys that would show some of these calculations. Leslie, I don't know if that answered your question. I kind of went on 3 tangents.
No, it did. And I totally, yeah, I get it. And I do think that it would be awesome to be able to pitch to people like, hey, you got $100, come to this Zoom meeting. And, if you don't leave with your $100, with your $800 this week, you might leave with it next week, but just be able for them to see the process. And I think if they saw the process and how fast it was moving, a lot of people would want to do it.
Yeah, it's a little bit different, right? Because the way I was recruited into this was friends and family. We're gonna put our money together, and I was like, hey, sign me up. I'm always about doing group economics with my homies. So if it's only based on trust, right? Just the people I know, just my friends, just my family, I thought, oh man, this thing should just move along. But, I guess some people don't trust each other, which is something I think we got to figure out how to address is trust issues. But if...
Well, I have a question for the group. Even if we do a public or a private, are people okay with their flyers being moved around to pay people who have been waiting the longest? Or are we just like, nope, like these are mine, that's their problem?
I got mine, you better work for theirs.
I just wanted to get, because I'm also in Samantha's Flowers, so I'm also in the slow moving flower, and we know why that Samantha's Flowers moving slow.
Yeah, it's some kids who got put in here, and the kids aren't recruiting.
We had younger people in the group too prior to us joining, so it was the same issue. They had trouble bringing in 2 people, which we can rectify that, because I don't have a problem with recruiting, more people in. But I just wanted to gauge the group's thoughts on that. Like, would you be okay with moving fires around, or would you rather us just start recruiting more people just to fill in those gaps? Because whether we do a private or a public, we still might have to move some things around to get the fires moving. Like Michelle, I believe the last time I spoke, she's willing to jump back in, but she's still waiting for $200. So I'm trying to find people, even though my flower's stagnant, to fill her flowers so she could, move on, and the people underneath her can move past as well. So I just want to know, like, what's the group's thoughts on that?
I'll say that I know that as I came in, when I was recruited by Michelle, and part of the reason why I came in is because she was saying that this group was moving pretty quickly. But again, like you said, we all run into those issues with trying to find 2 people, and then it kind of slows it down. But then I know that I was able to get some people that have come in, and as I've told them about it, I was like, listen, you got to come with your 2 people because we want this to keep moving it along, because I didn't want to hold up the flower any longer, because at one point, because of work, I wasn't able to communicate with people, and so I was holding it up, and then I got it, and I'm like, all right, now everyone has to bring in their 2 people. So I know that they have intentionally built their own flowers out. So I know that even though they're not on this call, because they haven't been, I have people that are waiting to get into the group but can't get in the group because my flower still hasn't been paid out. Michelle's flower still hasn't been paid out. So I know that if they would not be interested in their flowers being moved around. So I think that it might be better to maybe host calls where we can get others that are interested who necessarily aren't affiliated with anyone's specific spot and like fill in some of these gaps. Because I know that with Michelle, she did that. I know she had people that she came in and filled in some of your other flowers, and now she's short 2 people that she doesn't have. So we definitely want to make sure that we prevent that from continuing to happen, because her flower could have been filled if she decided to keep those people for herself. So we want to make sure that if people are sharing, that we're all sharing all around.
And I think that's where right? Group. So, I mean, I didn't have anything, but some people just say like, hey,
Yeah, there's echo on your end.
Yeah, I think because you and Spurge may be so close together, he might need to mute while you're unmuted.
I'm not either.
You're going in and out for me. I don't know if it's just me.
And now we can't hear
I can't hear you at all now.
Sorry.
Everybody
Yeah,
does not
see the turn.
echo, so
We don't need
everybody
to turn.
has to put their thing on mute in order for
Yeah.
it not to echo.
Speakers off.
Tell her to turn hers down.
Yeah. I don't know how the sound is set up.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, it's much better now.
Okay. So I was saying like that's where the trust should come in. And I mean, we can just openly have these dialogues like, hey, I have 2 people. Like, I think I hit up Leslie back when Michelle only needed 1 fire. And I said, well, you have someone who has 2 fires. Would you mind giving one of those fires to Michelle to pay her out? And then maybe in return, Michelle would just jump into that open space of the fire that you just gave up. So like, well, yeah, I'll do that. So I think that's the part where the trust comes in and the communication is going to have to come in, and you just, try to work together. Because I mean, ultimately, if we're not working together, communicating and reseeding, we're all just going to be stagnant, in my opinion.
And that's true, Dion, but it honestly goes both ways too, because I came in under Michelle as well. I came in with my 2 people, Shelly and Tamika, and then Shelly has her 2 people, and we actually have more people, kind of like what Jazz was saying, that are ready to continue to move our flower that way, but the other side of the flower can't be filled because other people have fallen out. So there has to be a way where we gotta just be able to all move forward, and I think that, if we continue to have the same agenda on the plate where we bring 2 people in, that's going to support the algorithm that we know works. Because without that, it'll be one person that has 50, 70 people under them. And then it comes to a point where they're starting to support all these other flowers and other people that don't have the same tenacity and drive and motivation as other people. And now they're becoming, the go-to, and I don't think that's fair either. So it goes both ways, honestly, but we all are here to eat ultimately. So it's tough.
Can I add something? Great. I think that's great. Great dialogue. One thing I was thinking that, and so right now a person is going to get $800 at some point whenever the flower fills up. But what if we offered incentive to someone who gave up their flowers, right? So if somebody has 3 flowers and they gave somebody a flower, what if there was like some monetary incentive, like the person who received that flower, when they get their 800, they gift the person that gave them a flower 150. So they're kind of paying somebody to recruit for them, if that kind of makes sense.
It's still way more than what you gave, so it could be 150.
I'm not sure if Sabrina is talking. to us or someone in the background?
I was about to. I think someone else was about to talk first, though, so I was waiting.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna say that would be great. That would work awesome if we're able to track it, so to speak, if that makes sense. Because how will we know who that person is? And it would be great because that money would go right back into the circle to keep the flowers going. But how would it be trackable? Is there a way to track that?
So the website is tracking everything. I'm actually going in and making updates as we go. So that would be the way that we track it. We would just be invited and you can tell us to say this person X amount so and so. It's simple as 50. We could just have one person who did the recruiting and then the remaining fires paid the water.
I heard about half of that, but
to answer the question, yes, we're tracking it, right? So as long as somebody fills out the application, of course. But if somebody fills out the form and they in the form asks who invited you, right? Or who invited you and who did you invite? So we know that is if people answer the question honestly, then we would know, okay, somebody's over here, they recruited 10 people, so they should be expecting $100 from 10 other people, from others. I think right now that's traceable. It would just be more of a policy thing that we would, propose to members of the group. It would be like, hey, are you willing to share $100 out of your 800 if somebody helps you bring in a person? If somebody helps bring in 2 people for you, are you willing to only take $600 out? I mean, I still think that's a win-win scenario. $100 for $600 is still, that's a $500 profit. And then the person doing the recruiting doesn't feel like they're being shortchanged because they're getting some kickback. But I don't know. That's just some incentive that I think we could add to it, but not necessarily a mandatory thing. But either way, the thing that is required is that we grow by 2 people with every person. Otherwise, we won't be able to continue to pay everybody $800. And so my 2 cents was just, 1, if we use the public flower where it's more of a first come, first served basis. And 2, if somebody is doing the heavy lifting, they're being compensated for their recruiting efforts. Any thoughts on that?
She said Tangela. Well, for me personally, I have to agree. Well, Jazz brought me in. Let me start from there. So when Jazz explained to me, like she said, she was told that this is going to be moving quickly. So I kind of like the idea of having the public flower because it doesn't matter. Really, we're kind of eliminating the work for everyone. If everyone worry about themselves and just say, hey, I'm committed to this. I want to invest in this. And I am going to bring in 2 people, and those 2 people just worry about themselves and just bring in 2 more people, then I feel like it will move a lot faster because no one has to actually do the work, if that makes sense. But yeah.
Well, they wouldn't have, if they're missing 2 people, we could fill them in, right?
Yeah, but they don't have 2 people, but they still want to come in. So let's just say I have a list of 10 people who don't have 2 people, but they still want to come in. That's still 10 people that we could bring in and move the flowers along.
By plugging them in gaps. You know what you're saying?
Yeah.
So then this concept is kind of like paying it forward, right? Where you're saying, well, is that the pay it forward method? I think I may have confused that. Scratch what I just said.
Okay.
I was confusing something else. So, because we were kind of thinking of, well, another solution, another idea was if you know people who want to join, but they don't necessarily have money, then you can front them the money and get them in. The problem is when we do that, people aren't recruiting, right? Because they're just like, oh, I'm just getting in, you know, whatever. So the pay it forward method, I think we talked about that one, right? But we're not talking about, that's why I'm getting confused, because we're talking about.
already mentioned that they tried that and they felt like the person wasn't putting in the work.
Oh, yes, that was, I think Tasha said that.
Yeah, so that didn't work.
Even if you pay for them, they still need to. Sorry.
Right. So I think the issue with that is that when you pay for someone to come in, and I think it was Shells that was the one that actually said she had did this for a few people specifically. She found like with younger people, she had the issue of them kind of receiving the free ride and then not wanting to put in the work to still be accountable for the two people they need. And that's where we run into issues where we're now having flowers being slowed down. So I would definitely not encourage that because I feel like people don't earn it. They don't work for it. You know, they're like, oh, well, I'm in. And now they're just sitting around happily waiting to get paid. Now, me, I put in $100. Everyone who put in $100, they're waiting for their return. But if I didn't put in $100, then I'm not as pressed. So I'm just sitting around, and whatever day you finally tell me like, hey, you're getting paid today, well, then that's a great day for me because I did nothing. And there's no pressure for me to actually like do anything. If I don't get anything at the end, I didn't lose because I didn't put in anything in the beginning. So I can walk away from this at any time. So if you guys decide I don't get paid out, well, I never paid you in the first place. So I feel like that causes problems within the flower structure of those who are waiting to actually get paid out. But as far as what Tasha said, I agree with her. I think that we need to, one, keep to the principle of what this was. The requirement of if you're into this and you're committed to this, then you need to be committed on both levels, financially and socially. So that means being able to bring in two people. And, you know, like with the $500 groups that I think some of us are affiliated with, that's a very hard requirement. Like there's really no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And it's emphasized, like if you don't have two people, then you don't join until you have two people ready, because other than that, you're creating a domino effect of delays amongst the flowers. So nobody gets paid just because one person wanted to get in. And so I think it's better when we have people who are interested, but they say, oh, I'm not really social, or I'm trying, but I can't get anyone. You know, it's not to say, well, we don't want to punish them or make them feel bad, but we say, okay, well, you have to keep trying, obviously, keep trying, right? Because it's always a numbers game with anything. The more people you ask, the more likely you're going to get a yes eventually. The more no's lead you to a yes. So we can keep them in a category of people who are interested and have the money to pay, but don't quite have the two people ready. Maybe they have one person, maybe they have no one yet. And then, like Tasha said, we can use them to fill in the gaps when we find people that get stuck or people that kind of like back out at the last minute. But I definitely don't think we should encourage just having people coming into spots not having two people. I think we need to encourage that people come in with two people ready to fill in those spots so that we can keep the momentum going. Things will happen and we can be prepared for those things with those individuals who are ready but don't have two people, but should still be actively looking for people and still being encouraged to do so. Because if they do get two people, then great. We can put them in, they can add into the flower with whoever invited them and get added on. But if not, then if we have ourselves in a situation like where Michelle is still stuck, I still got two spots open, we can fill those people in there, you know?
So can we,
So if I heard you correctly, it's more relaxed. We still emphasize that you need to bring in two, but we're not making it a hard rule.
Yeah, I think it needs to be more. I think it needs to be a definite requirement that that people have two people coming in before they are allowed to join the flower. Because I'm saying that because I've made that mistake, because I have someone on mine who I knew was going to have a hard time. They didn't have 2 people coming in, but I know they wanted to join in. And I was like, okay, I'll help you find your 2 people. And now we're stuck because I got 1 person behind them, but I still need a 2nd person to get behind them. You know what I mean? And so when we do things like that, it affects everybody, because now the people on the other side of my flower who got a bunch of people ready to go, they can't get in because of this 1 person on the other side of my flower who doesn't have someone ready to go, you know? And so it delays all these people. So I'm speaking from my own experience of making that mistake. I think we need to make sure that people are only allowed to come in and be placed in the flower when they have 2 people that they have a committed 2 people ready to come in with them. And that
Or what about the ideal of like a perpetual flower? So let's say someone came in with their $100, but they didn't have people behind them, where they get 700, but they continually have to, as one of the stipulations, always go back in as a flower. So that way, for people who are recruiting people, if someone gets stuck, they can always have extra, we'll have extra flowers that we can put in, or fires that we can put into those spots by those people who did not bring in 2 people. You see what I mean? So
yeah, that's basically the same thing I was saying. You just said it in a different way, I think.
Okay.
From here. Yeah, it's basically us making a reserve list, or a list of people who don't have 2 people. And that list of people could end up being 10 people, 20 people, 50 people, but that's still 2 people coming in, for every 50 people.
Right.
5 people that we move along. So I just feel like, that would be a great way. And I feel like I'm hearing from everybody else that the hardest thing that people is telling them is that they can't find 2 people. So the person that you just talked to, don't cut them off and say, you can't come because you don't have 2 people. What I'm going to say, I'm going to put you on the list on hold.
Right,
And
a waiting list.
We just keep bringing people in.
Right, exactly. So like, I totally agree with that. That's what I said. I don't think that we should turn people away, but I don't think they should be allowed to be on the flower. Like Tasha said, it would be like a waiting list. Like, you can't be seated at the restaurant just yet because your whole party isn't here yet. So you're on the waiting list, but when your full party arrives, you can be seated. So I think we need to have that same concept. Like, do you have your 2 people? If so, we can put you, let's put you right in this spot and go. But if you don't, we're going to put you on this waiting list. And then as that waiting list grows, when we're like, okay, we got about 5-10 people on this waiting list and we got 3 spots open, then okay, we got enough to fill in those 3 spots and put some people behind them while we're still actively building up this waiting list, right? So that's what I mean. But I don't think we should repeat.
Especially right now, it's way too early to add, like, it's way too early to like not have 2 people. You have to, right now in the beginning of it, you need
Jar Jar Binks.
Later on, when we got more than 100 people, when you got more like 150, then boom, people can like help other people out when they jump out the flower, they go right back in. But right now, it's hard because you need 2 people. Everybody just need 2 people for right now until we got over 150 people. Spurs know because he's gonna keep count of who's coming in. He's gonna know who's coming out, but he can tell them people, look, we got this flower. We need you to jump on this flower. He gonna let everybody know who's getting out and who can get on what. That's the point of the process. But right now, we ain't got enough people for people can jump out to help somebody because it's just not enough.
No, yeah, we're not talking about people jumping out. We that's what we're saying. Like, people need to come in. People shouldn't be placing the flower unless they have their 2 people. But for those people who come in interested and don't have their 2 people, instead of putting them away, we just keep them on a reserve list.
Exactly.
So that when we do find ourselves in positions, right, they need to be trying to get their people. But if we come across spots that get open because, say, someone bailed out last minute, changed their mind, and now we have an open spot that's holding the flower from closing out, we can then take the people off of that reserve list and plug them into those spots. But yes, people should be coming in with 2 people because that's what keeps the flower moving and keeps everyone benefiting.
Right, and all I was saying on top of that, as if we made a stipulation to where those people who came in like that would just get $100 less because they're perpetually going back in to add fires for missing spots. So we can always have those people perpetually in it. You see what I'm saying? Because they didn't bring anybody in. So their benefit is that they're going to get money, but they're also going to get a little bit less and perpetually be used to fill out spots. So they get 700 and 100 automatically goes in to fill another spot. They get another 700 fill out spots like that.
Okay, so let me understand that, because so if that happens, where is that 100? Who's that 100 being paid to? Because if the idea is that, for example, we have a list of people. So we have like 5 people who said, okay, I want to come in, but they didn't have their 2 people. So they weren't able to get in on the flower immediately. They were put on this reserve list. And so everyone else that's on the flower, people are coming in, they're filling up their 2 people. But let's say now my second person decided to bail out, and I need my second person was coming in as a fire to water Spurge, right? And so now my second person just bailed out. Like I got in and I brought my 2 people, but my second person said, oh no, you know what? I don't have it anymore. So now I'm holding up Spurge from receiving his gifts because that person bailed out. So now we would be able to take someone from off that reserve list and fill him in that spot so that Spurge could get his full payout and that flower can be closed out. So you saying that now because of that, when I get into the water, as that flower grows and continues to cycle on, that I would receive $100 less because of that spot?
No. I'm saying that person that came in that filled in the reserve slot, they would get 100 less because, okay, so let's say that
they're the ones that would only get 700.
Right, because we'll put 100 back in, so there always is an extra fire for someone. You see what I mean? So let's say, for instance, I was on the reserve list, and one of your people fell out, and then I was in that spot. Now I'm in that spot. I didn't bring in 2 people. Okay. So now when I flow through, the most I can get is 700. I paid the 100. The most I can get is 700 because automatically under my name, it's going to go back as another fire. Whereas if you bring your 2 people, at the end, if you want to come back, you can. But if not, the 800 and you're out if you want to. You know what I mean? But if you come in without 2 people, you automatically go in. So we'll always have these, people that we can fill in with people that have actually gone through the process, even though they didn't bring in the people, if that makes sense. So not you, because you did your part, but the person who filled in that spot that didn't bring in the people, who was just in as a reserve, he gets 100 less because we're putting him back in as another flyer, him or her back into as another fire again. So they're automatically in again, but you get all yours because you did your.
So theoretically, I get the concept you're explaining, but logistically, can you explain to me, like, so it's payout time for that person? So, but they have 8 fires. So you're saying that there's actually 7 fires, and then we act like someone else pays that 100 at that 7th spot, like we closed them out with 7 fires. Is that why they only get 700? Because where would that 8th payment go?
So
they're automatically putting it back in.
There's 8 fires, but they would have to automatically reinvest as another fire. So let's say I'm in that spot now after going through that process without bringing anyone else in. So what'll happen is I'll get 7 out of the 8 fires.
I see what you're saying. They automatically come back in as the fire for themselves. Okay, I got you. Okay, got you.
I want to stay in, it's up on them. But if they come in as a reserve, that means that's an automatic spot that's going to always be there. Whether that person want to claim that.
I got what you're saying.
Exactly.
Okay, I got you now. I got you. Okay, I'm just like logistically. So where's that 100 going? Like, what are we doing with it? Like, if they're not, I get why, but where does it go? But I get it. They would automatically pay for a fire spot, and either they can come in and continue with it, or it will funnel through.
Give it to somebody else.
Right.
But they can keep the spot because they did pay $100.
I mean, it makes sense, right? It behooves them to do so. But okay, I got you. I mean, that makes sense to me.
Okay, so is everybody just go like this? Is everybody okay with the reserve list? I see most hands. It seems like it's unanimous, but Sabrina, I'm assuming she's on board. Okay, so everybody's okay with the reserve list. Is everybody okay with this step number 2 rule is hard and fast? Like you either recruit to or you don't move past. You don't pass go. So everybody's on board with that.
I'm halfway.
So Dion, so that's beneficial for us because the ones who are hardworking, not hardworking, but the ones who are really adamant doing the work of finding 2 people, that's going to protect us as well as everyone who's already invested in it. That's why when we have the reserve list, if we do get stuck with somebody who has somebody who backed out, then we already have somebody to plug it in. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Right, that's the point of the reserve, right? Because if we don't, then we're going to continue to have a problem where this group is going to be moving excruciatingly slow, and like the data that Spurs just went through, if we keep moving at this rate, people are not getting paid out for years. And quite frankly, I don't want to be a part of this, and no one else does. No one wants to be a part of this. It's way too, like, I can't, the problem people are really having at this point with getting 2 people is because my people, I'm not moving fast enough. Like my people already are hitting me up like, hey, I want to tell you about something. I'm like, nah, B, I was trying to talk to you first. Someone else already got to them. So we can't afford to be the group that can't move because it's too easy to go somewhere else and go get you. Like as we are on this call, I just got invited to a whole nother group. And I'm looking at it and they're getting paid out fast. You feel me? Like we can't afford to just be moving too slow. So if we don't have that requirement that you got to bring your 2 people and we just sitting around waiting and playing this game, then no one benefits and everyone's sitting around forever. And quite frankly, that defeats the whole purpose of why we did this in the first place. So like you got to have your 2 people or you just got to go on reserve. It's not like, oh, you can't be a part of it, but like you just got to wait till you're ready or you got to wait till we got a spot to throw you in. That's it.
Honestly, guys, for me doing this, I already have like a list of 10 plus people who told me that exact thing. So if I could come back and say to them, hey, listen, you still interested in joining without the 2 people? Cool. We could do that. We could just start plugging into our followers that we have now.
Right. And just let them know like you're going to get $100 less because we got to pay for your extra, we got to pay for that extra spot. I mean, it's still a win. You still getting more than what you put in. So I don't see why they would have a problem with that.
So are we going to send, do we send a list to one person of like our reserve that we have individually, like to start the spreadsheet? Or I feel like just like have our site right now, or just like we have our chat, we should just throw it in.
Here's your question.
I mean, I want to be able to see a list, you know what I mean? Or or hope that there would be a list somewhere filed, you know. I don't know if it's a thing, but
so before I was posting the list on the website, but because there was so much personal information, I thought maybe I shouldn't post people's private information on the website.
No, I think the reserve should be tucked to the side where I don't think everyone should have access to it. I don't think.
So let me just.
I mean, I think that's something the admins would really just need to have access to, right? Because I think that would fall upon the admins. Like everyone would submit that information. So like if I had someone who was interested but didn't have 2 people, like I could either submit that privately to the admins and be like, hey, this is someone who we can add on reserve. They're interested. They have their $100, but they don't have 2 people as of yet. So we're gonna put them on the reserve list. And like, so the admins would keep record of that because that's not something we really need to flood in the group chat. You know what I mean? Because sometimes too much information is not good because people coming in like, oh, what's that list? I don't know what that is. You know, you don't want
to be a part of that. I don't know about that.
You know, and so just keep that separate.
Or it could be something that we check off when they fill out the application. You know, they can be like, are you like where asked, are you ready to submit your money? Are you ready to? Or if you're not, then check I'm reserved or something like that. You know, I don't know. It's something that kind of, or we can just do the work, just find out they don't have 2 people. We'll just send in an email or something.
Right. I mean, whoever invited them would know. You feel what I'm saying? So it's not like it's some random person just coming in. Like whoever invited them would know because I asked my people like, hey, you got 2 people? No. Like I knew like my person, Shauna, didn't have 2 people when I brought her in, but I thought I could help her get those 2 people quickly. It didn't work out. So we know that. So I feel like we can just be like, hey, this is the person, but they're not ready with 2 people yet. So can we add them to that reserve list? Or maybe you can make a document, and if we say, hey, I got someone, maybe you can just send us the link so we can update it and add it ourselves. I mean, whatever is going to be most convenient for everyone. You know, if there's a spreadsheet and it can just be a link you can send out when someone says, hey, I got someone ready, I got someone interested, but they're not ready, then you can give us the link and we can update it and just enter that information. So it automatically will update it on your list.
Do reserves have to fill out an application? Would they have to fill out an application as soon as they come in stating that they're reserved, or do they fill out an application when
Here's my 2 cents. I think you got next, D's. I'm sorry. You got it. So if everybody fills out, everything is not required on this application. And I did that intentionally, that no matter when you come here, if you change your status or whatever, the only thing you have to enter is your email address, right? But it looks like you have to add your name. But if you come here and all you're doing is updating information, you don't have to fill out all this stuff again, right? Because we're gonna have your email address. And when we look at this, so if you just wanna be on the list, if you're just interested, if you've been paid out, if whatever your case is, you can update information. That information is gonna be logged here, right? It's never gonna go nowhere. This is forever. But the people who are just interested, they'll never make it past step 1. They'll always just be a prospect that is interested in joining the team. It's not until they actually pay that they become a number 2. So in the public flower concept, it doesn't matter. If they're just interested, they will always just be sitting in the line, right? They'll always just be number 1s until they pay and become number 2s. Which at that point we're saying, hey, we want you to do some recruiting and bring in 2 more people, right? So we can continue to grow this thing. So regardless of if you're just interested or whatever, if you just filled out some information on the website, we'd have a track of it, and we would know when you came into the system. So I hope that answers what sorry, ATL was saying. I think that's the ATL group.
I have a question too.
Yes.
So how far do we have to go for them to have their 2? Because inevitably it's going to come to a point to where, like, if my 2 don't join till they have their 2, then the people they want to get can't join their 2. You just get stuck because eventually no one's going to have that before they start. You know what I'm saying? So would it just be that? So if I want to enter, and I have my 2.
You wouldn't get stuck in this concept, Oblique, because if you brought in 2 people, you would move up to the earth. You would be already in this position automatically.
No, but what I mean is like this. So what about them though? They won't have, if they don't have their 2 people, then they would be reserved.
Yes, they
would be stuck. So then my 2 people shouldn't join until they have their 2 people, but then they shouldn't join until their people have their 2 people. But you see what I'm saying? Like, how does anyone join in that case? Because inevitably you're going to get to a point where someone's not going to have 2 people.
Well, see, the thought is you don't want to think that nobody's going to have 2 people. We want to still work for, we want to still make sure people that we talk to understand to have 2 people, but sometimes you're going to run into that, So isn't that what we're saying? Like,
well, what I mean is like, okay, so for my 2 people, they don't have 2 people yet. So I wouldn't bring them in. I would count them as my 2 people. But then if they come in, and they have to get 2 people, but they don't have 2 people who have 2. You see what I'm saying? Because
well, no, I get what you're saying, but I think you have to consider the time frame in between it. Like, for example, well, the thing was, and that's why we have to have this conversation now, because clearly the dynamic of this group and how it's paying out is changing. Because like I said, when I was invited to the group, I came into thinking that it was getting paid out in days. Like they were bringing in people and people were getting paid out in days. That clearly is not what's happening. And then like when it came out to my turn to be paid out, I was told that people were informed that payday was on Friday. I was never informed about a certain payday. So now paydays aren't happening until Friday. That means that now we're creating a weekly system. So then you have to, so like, for example, with the $500 groups, some of them, you can't even enter it until on Sunday. So every Sunday is when a person joins. So like say, for example, this Sunday, I would join in as a fire. I'm coming in knowing I have my 2 people. I have a week before my 2 people even have to join in. So I'm only coming in because I already know I have 2 people. So I start this Sunday knowing that only because I know I have 2 people ready to start next Sunday. So that means my 2 people have this Sunday and next Sunday to get their 2 people, so that when they start by the following Sunday, they can start because they've been able to get their 2 people. You understand? So there has to be, like, obviously there should be a time range between when this has to happen, because I get what you're saying, but that would be if people were like literally coming in on the same day, and realistically that's not happening. So if you know you have 2 people, you talk to your people, you tell them what it's about, and you always include that conversation that like, hey, you know, I'm bringing you in, and your responsibility is to also bring in 2 people. So let's start to talk about who you think you can bring in. If you get 2 people to commit to the fact that they're willing to come in and to go and bring in 2 people, then you can come in saying, yes, I have my 2 people. But immediately they need to start doing the same thing. They're not coming in the same day you are. Like I said, I have about 10 people ready to join this group, but they can't. They have to wait because we can't move forward. So there is a time, there's a space of time for this to happen.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
So now, so if we're doing reserve, we got all these people. Yeah. So we're doing reserve, and our flower is moving pretty slow now. Are we gonna now take the people we have weigh in to kind of fill these pieces in? Are we working on that towards next week, or how does that work?
1 second, Tasha. We'll get to that question because I think that's like, are we gonna go private or public or?
Oh, okay, sorry. I was trying to see how we look.
Dion has been taking it down, raising her hand. So what is it that you were saying?
No, I just think that we're talking about a few different things, right? I think there's a difference between people who are coming in and they're like, I don't have 2 people. You clearly know those people aren't going to be actively recruiting. Whereas you have people coming in and they're saying, okay, I'll try to find 2 people. So the people who are coming in and they're like, I don't have 2 people, but I want to do it. Those are the people we would want to put on their reserve. The people who are coming in and saying, I'm going to actively try to find 2 people, then those are the people that we give a chance to find the 2 people before we add them into the flower.
Okay, that makes sense.
Right.
Sorry, guys.
I think, and you know, however you guys want to do it, but I think the website is just a good place to just keep the information, since we're already using that to track the people who are coming in. And we could have Spurge add a checkbox for reserve, and you just say, hey, okay, you'll come onto the site, you'll fill out the information, but just make sure you click the box reserve and you'll go on the reserve list, so that we know the difference between the ones who have their 2 people or are actively looking for their 2 people versus the people that we just want to keep as a reserve. But I think that just keeping it on the site makes it easier to track versus putting it in Telegram. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Okay. Guys, it is 2:45, and I do want to respect everyone's time on a Sunday. So far, I think this is a really good meeting. The only thing, so the last thing, so Tasha, that wasn't Tasha. This was,
What were you looking at?
I was looking at.
Tondalay, call her T. Tondalay or T. And I'm Tasha.
Sorry, I was looking at Tasha and I was like, no, T. But okay. Tondalay, please go ahead. And so I think you have the perfect segue towards the end of the call.
Who let her in?
Yeah. So I wanted to know if, since we're gonna go the reserve route and we all have like people saying I don't have 2 people or I have a list of people already waiting, are we gonna go the route of plugging them in starting now, next week vibe, or how are we gonna start to fuel everything we talked about today?
So I just want to reiterate to you guys that if somebody comes in and they fill out the form and they only select step 1, they're in the system. That is the prospect position. They're not officially buyers until they pay, right? But if they just say I'm ready or I'm willing to pay, then they just come in the system as a prospect. So I think we are describing that. And no matter, if you come in and you fill out the form and you go at the top and you go at the bottom of the list, somewhere down here, you're just on reserve, right? Until you join a flower.
Yep.
So we need to let people know when they fill out the application to hit number 2 if they're just, gonna go on reserve.
No, number 1.
I mean, they need to hit number 1 because, they need to hit number 1 if they're going reserve.
Yeah, they're just waiting, right? But once they have 2 people, now they're recruiters.
Well, that's hard because then we can't fully differentiate between the people who are trying to find buyers and the people who are just there waiting.
Okay.
Also, in addition to that, you guys, how does that impact Alex? I believe Dion spoken to him paying 100 on 2 different flowers, and he has no one. And he's also not into recruiting anyone. So that's 4 openings right now. Well, actually, that will be, will that be 4 openings on 2 separate flowers that are gonna be stagnant? So we're gonna run into that too. And we actually have that right now on my flower with someone that isn't into recruiting anyone, but donated $200, or at least that's what Dion spoken to with me. So how is that gonna work?
So honestly, the people that we have waiting to come in, we don't necessarily have to tell them that, if Jasmine was to bring in her person don't have to think that they're going to come necessarily under Jasmine. They're just joining the group, which is all of us. So we have somebody who's been waiting longer than Jasmine to get paid out, then that person that Jasmine is bringing in should be on that person's flower who's waiting the longest. So therefore, that's kind of like our reserve list right there. It's starting already. That's how we could start it off. Like, honestly, I think we have 8 of us on the call right now. And I think it's 40-something people all together in the group. So if we have people who's already waiting, I feel like the ones that have been stagnant the longer, we just bring those people who waiting underneath those flowers to get them moving and get them going. Mm-hmm. And then the people who don't have 2 people, we just start plugging them in on whatever spaces are left over. And then that's how we just keep moving. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. However, do we run into a point where we have all people in positions that are recruits only and there's not recruits only, support only, and they have no recruits to go in those positions? You know what I mean?
Right. So that's why we were saying if they come in as a prospect, we're just going to tell them that if you're going to be a prospect, you're still going to get paid out $700 at max instead of the $800, and therefore that $100 will stay in regardless if that person back out or not. That's an automatic $100 that we don't have to worry about that position being filled.
Okay. If it works, let's roll it out. If it don't work, let's get another Zoom call going to figure out what will, so we get the flowers to keep going, because I'm in the same position. I have, half of my flower that can keeping things going, and then the other half that are MIA right now. So we should all be able to continue to eat and not have that pause. And I don't know if it should be a weekly thing if we have the people in the positions ready to fill the gaps. Let's
Right.
keep going.
It should be a
If we
daily
can.
thing, honestly. If we have a reserve list, should be to a point where we honestly move it on a daily basis, or at least hourly.
I don't daily.
Yes.
And I don't know if that's realistic for Spurge and Dion, but I like when I first came on the chat group, I said that I could, support and assist and help out in any way that there are possibilities. So I know it's hard trying to, have a career, have family, and do this too. But with more support, maybe we can help keep things moving quicker.
That's why I felt like there should be. That's why I felt like there should be, like the reserve list should probably be managed by someone else. I mean, just like as an admin, like you probably just want to see that pop out, like that highlighted version of the reserve, not having to go through the application and figure out. I don't know how it comes through, how it filters through on, you guys' end, but I mean, wouldn't you guys not want to have to worry about managing the reserve list and let someone else just manage that list and
create an admin group for people who want to help with the admin portion of it. I definitely won't be opposed to that because it is a lot to manage. So yeah, if Sabrina, you said you're willing to help, if anybody else is willing to help, then I just want to make sure that everybody's clear on who's doing what, because then that's where the confusion comes in. So like we can create a group for people who want to help with the admin responsibilities, and then we kind of talk amongst ourselves to say, all right, this is what's going to happen, or we're going to plug this here and there, so that everybody's on the same page and one person isn't working on it, but somebody else is too, and then we're just plugging people and not communicating. That was just so yeah, I'm definitely down to get the help.
And I agree with you, Dion. I feel like you need a couple of, a handful of people to do the work. You and Spurge aren't going to be able to continue to do it all and juggle your lives and keep it going on a consistent basis. Let's just be honest, However, I don't think that it should be an open forum where 20 people are helping out, because it will become a circus. But yeah, a couple of qualified, committed people that are just as willing to be open and vulnerable and transparent as you guys are. And, let's get this going.
Yeah, I'm definitely willing to help as well. So just like you said.
Right.
Awesome. So by the way, guys, I know we're working with a bunch of tools, right? Google, I'm using a Google form. I try to make this as low budget and as simple as possible to track. However, this probably deserves its own application. It deserves its own app. It deserves its own system, pretty much, without all the Google constraints we got to deal with. And so, I don't know if anybody here knows, but I'm going to shamelessly plug. I have a nonprofit called Little Star, and we teach young people how to do technology and robotics and things like that. If you guys have teenagers or somebody who wants to jump on board and help me build an app, I'm going to turn this website into an app that we can, we can download on our phones, or we can keep it on the web as a web app, but it'll be a little bit more sophisticated, and it'll have, possibly a login to where this isn't just public, this isn't just publicized, but maybe we would have to log into it. Now, of course, as this website gets more sophisticated, it is a little bit more time on somebody's behalf to try to maintain it. This is why I'm saying, as a community, maybe we get our young people involved to do some of this legwork, and they could learn skill sets that would possibly help them in the future. So I'm just putting the clarion call out to you guys. If you have young people, teenagers, or even a little bit younger than that, who want to spend a few Saturdays with me for a few hours, we'll build out some apps. They could put it on their resume. They could say that they were a part of this, successful organization, whatever. I'm just putting it out there to say that, maybe in a week or two, I'll start working on, taking this basic, not basic, because this website is somewhat sophisticated, but making it a little bit more polished and something that could be, put on a resume for forever. So I'm just putting that out there. I'll post a little bit in the Telegram group and be like, and just say, hey, anybody got some young folks that might want to, do some geek stuff? They can do this. We can, get them some college credits, all that good stuff. So I
can do a recap.
I will allow. You want to recap? Okay, so Dion's gonna recap the meeting, recap the notes, and if we missed anything, please bring it up so we make sure everybody's questions are addressed. So far, it's been awesome for me, so I appreciate everybody with their willingness and interest to join this call.
I just want to put one disclaimer out there. Sorry, I was the one who said to pay on Fridays just because it was easier to track. But now that I have people willing to help, with the admin stuff, we can move it back to just pay as they come in, and I'll just have people helping keep track of it. So
now, I do have a question. Do you think that people should pay once the flower is all done though? Like once the flower is all filled up? Because like I'm trying to just look, and I think like you said, Michelle was missing one person, but I know I saw some cash apps to Michelle, but I don't know if how many people pay, how many didn't. And so it might be easier if we're going to do trying to recruit, but it might be easier to do the community thing where we can shift people around if people in the watering position don't get paid until all of those 8 spots are solidified, because then you can kind of shift and be like, hey, this person needs one more. Okay, well, then I'll move that person over there. But then if they pay as they come in, and then say I'm in the watering position and I might be getting 100 this day and then 100 that day. If once all of those fires get filled, then they can pay at one time. Like Larry's, it was okay, we got this person. Okay, well now that we got everybody, okay, now pay Larry. It might be easier to do that instead of I know people want to get, paid faster, but it is harder to try to keep track and try to see who got, who paid, who did what, if everybody's just paying once they come in. And then, like I said, it might be harder to fill spots or move people around if everybody's paying once they get in.
Well, that's what I was originally doing, and I did pull the trigger for some people to get paid before their flower was full because they only had 1 or 2 spaces open, just because to kind of put a little fire under the people who were still waiting on their fires, or not really focusing on bringing in their fires. And I did see that a lot of people started messaging me oh, I have my fires, and was given the information once people started actually paying.
Mm-hmm.
That was the only reason why I said okay, let's pull the trigger and start paying people. But I'm fine with however you guys want to do it. Like I said, now that I have people helping with admin, then if people are paying on different days, we could keep, we could try to keep track. But I was actually thinking if the flower's full, then everybody should get paid. Because then it kind of seemed dang, I just got $800 versus, oh, I got 100 this week. Oh, I got 100 this week. But again, it's however, y'all want to do it as a group.
I think it would be all at once. One time.
All at once.
Once in Michelle's case, when she's missing $200. So once we have people on that reserve list and we could plug them into Michelle's flower, then that's done for that flower. But moving forward, I feel once we have a completed flower, then it should be all paid out at once. But once the flowers that we currently have, until we get those filled in and plugged in, then, of course, that money's going to come in how it comes in. But moving forward for completed flowers, we should all do that at once. And I also wanted to say, Spurgeon, I'm also a software engineer for the Home Depot. So I could definitely help you with that end. I love teaching young kids about technology and software engineer as well. So I'm right with you.
That's what's up. That's dope. I knew there was some geeks on the call. Okay, did you want to? Oh, go ahead. Somebody had something else?
Well, is anybody opposed to getting paid all at once?
No, I think that's a great idea as well. It keeps everything a little bit more trackable, and it is that big initial, oh my God, I got a lot more money as opposed to 200, 300, 100, and then us all trying to figure out, is that flower complete, and is it going to blossom and move forwards?
Okay. So payouts gonna be on Friday?
Yo, there was one thing that I liked
There we go.
about that once a week payment idea. Now it's hard to advertise that because we have to hold ourselves accountable to it, right? But if there was like a big payout, if we get up to 100 people in this collective group, 100 committed people who are willing to get in, get out, get in, get out, where was I going with that? It takes 105 people to have 105 to 120, 120 people to make 115 flower to constantly be in rotation, right? So that means somebody can get paid almost every day, right? If people are going through the cycle in that time frame, so we can actually speed this up to be within minutes. This thing can be sped up to be within minutes if we do it like I said, we had that weekly call where we're like, all right, not weekly, but whatever the payday is. So we have that payday. If we had all 120 people lined up, we could literally pay out multiple flowers on the same day. It could just be like, it could be like a gift-a-thon. So it'll just be like, we join the call, people are ready to pay. We make it all exciting. It's like, yeah, woohoo, it's payday. People are getting excited because they're getting in and they're watching everybody else get cashed out. And we make it kind of like an event where, once we get to the point where we can have like multiple payouts at a time, I think that would be kind of exciting, to like, I just put $100 a couple weeks ago. Today's my payday. I'm about to call into the Zoom call real quick and get cashed out with $800. I mean, I feel like, to me, that would be kind of exciting and cool. What's going on? All right, I'm done. I just remembered when I went past this site that there were all these extra numbers up here. And I remember like, what was I trying to do? But
y'all, he spends hours on this stuff.
All right, I'm done.
Okay, so since we made it, we've adjusted a lot of things. So when we're talking to our people, like new people, not the people, who say they ain't got two people. But what should we take away? Like, what are the key points we need to advise now versus what we were talking about prior? What do we need to let them know now?
Good question. So basically, it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, these are from the notes I took, we want to keep it the same as, the separate flowers. We want to make it so that it's still required to actively bring in 2 people. But if there are people who want to join, but don't have 2 people, we add them to a reserve list that we will track on the site. And then we will plug them in when we get to a point where there's 1 or 2 people missing for a person to be paid out.
Okay, and next. So how do we? What's the difference in pay? Like, how do we explain how the payout is going to work to them? And I'm very visual and audio, so that's why I want to hear it. Because we talked through the kinks, but I kind of want to hear it clearly. Like, because the first question going to be, okay, so when I get paid, how this, especially for the ones that got 2 people and they're jumping in, they're like, okay, so what's the pay?
Well, how fast you get paid is how fast you recruit 2 people. I mean, and you can visually show them the flowers to say, if everybody's recruiting 2 people quickly and they have their 2 people as they come in, it could take days. I don't know if you guys, we didn't talk specifically about putting a time limit on how long they have to get the 2 people. And that would probably be like another 20-minute conversation. So I haven't been giving people a specific time frame as far as the payout. Well, I guess not a time frame, because I know maybe like how the payout works exactly. I mean, I don't know. If you bring in 2 people and you pay your 100, you're gonna get 800. At that point, if you choose to reseed and jump back in, you can. And you would just be at someone else's fire again, and you would pay the $100 again. But we're saying for the people who you can take them out. For the people who aren't actively recruiting, but they're on reserves, we're saying you're guaranteed $700, but you have to come in and be a fire again and re-gift that $100. We're basically not giving them the option of jumping back in. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
Right, that was my understanding.
So everybody on the same page?
So basically, that last note was you have to put 100 back in, no matter what.
That's what it sounded like. That's what I have in my notes, is what the group suggested.
If you're a prospect, yes. If you're a prospect, you're guaranteed 700 instead of the 800. Versus someone who's not a prospect, they can leave with $800 if they want, because they've done the work, you know.
Right.
Okay. Right, but if you encourage people to keep jumping back in, it helps to get.
Absolutely. Because I don't want us to spoil everyone saying, okay, yeah, you can just come on reserve. Like, you know.
Well, I think that needs to be like how we presented, that you make 800, but you're making the promise that you're going to continue to jump back in. It's the same thing how when I got approached with the 500, then when they were like, you make 4,000, but you're promising, you know, it's your word to regift that 500 that you gave to the other person. So it's not, I mean, yeah, so you're making, but you're going to continuously regift and jump back in. So in essence, like, you walking away with 700, but you're also walking away with the promise that you're going to make another, you know, 700 when you go back through the process too.
Yeah, that's the other part too, because they're going back in, but they're going to get another 700 in the process, and 100 is continually fueling so that we always have fires for those slots.
But we're not advocating like just come in as a recruit. We're still like trying to find your people, but the people who you just know, like I have 2 people right now. I already know they're not gonna look for 2 people. They basically said, I have the 100, I just don't have 2 people. So I'm just kind of keeping them in the pocket. And so we're still gonna for them to recruit, but if they
I have a question. So Jasmine, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to like see, you know, with the people who we have that we know would pay 100 but don't have 2 people, and we do have 2 flowers that literally needs 1 more person. But then I think somebody said that Michelle needs 2 more people and not 1. So I don't know like who that other person is missing or who's not missing. And then the same thing for Jasmine. I think she has all her people. I think she's only missing 1.
2. I'm also missing 2.
You're missing 2, and do you know who didn't? So on the flower it says only 1 person's missing. Do you know who the other person who didn't pay is?
Yeah, so it's one of the people under Tatiana.
Okay. All right, because I'm just trying to make a list of the people who, but everybody else has already paid you.
Well, Tatiana is the one of hers, and then obviously the empty spot under Shauna.
Okay.
So Tatiana was my sister. Tatiana should be replaced with me because I ended up just putting $100 back in. So that's what I'm into. So yeah, so technically it's me that's holding up Jasmine's flower for an extra person, because I have people who's going to jump in, but they don't have 2 extra people. So now that we decided to do reserves, it'd be easier for me to just bring in people who don't have 2 people.
Yeah. Because I was just about to say, like, I have a person who wants to jump in but don't have 2 people. Like, they can fill either, like, what I'm hearing is everybody on this call has one. So, or, you know, some people on this call have one. So we would be able to fill out Michelle's and then fill out Jasmine's, just with those people, because they're only missing like 1 or 2, and then be able to get those done and move on. But
yeah, so if we could have them fill out the site, and until Spurge puts.
I can't hear you, Dion. You sound really low. I don't know if it's just me.
Have the people that you guys know don't have 2 people just go to fill out the site, and then we could put it. I'm gonna create an admin group for the people who said they would help, and then we could just put them in the put their names in the admin group for now, because we don't have anything on the site to actually specify, and then we could start plugging those people in.
Also, can we, I don't know if this is good or not, but I don't know if we should keep adding people to Telegram.
No, please, let's stop.
How do I get in contact?
No.
What you mean?
Like, if somebody is a serious prospect,
yeah,
or whatever, but then when people aren't in, it's kind of hard to maintain it if we're like, all right, well, we need to kick that person out or put this, that maintenance is somewhat of a nightmare, because right now there's a bunch of people that aren't really engaged, so it's hard to tell, like, are they still interested, right, and should they be involved with with what we got going on? I don't know if it's even that sensitive to where we have to kick people out, but I'm just saying, adding people to the Telegram, sometimes if they come in with the wrong type of energy, it could disrupt the group.
Yeah.
So we kind of have to vet them into the group, some sort of, I'll leave it at that. But if we could just kind of keep the group positive in some kind of way.
Well, y'all know y'all people, so if y'all know they're a negative Nancy, don't add them in.
Well, if they're not committed, right? If they don't believe in the product, I don't know if they should come in with the naysay. That's what I'm trying to say. Like,
reserve,
right? But I think, like, if people are just, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, I'm sorry, Jazz. I was gonna say reserve shouldn't be added anyway.
Until they become a prospect.
Yeah, unless you're a prospect.
You took the words out of my mouth, Tondele.
That's time for all that.
Right. We were saying the same thing at the same time, girl. No, yeah. I just think that prospects shouldn't be added to the group. Like, now at this point, moving forward, so I think now that we have decided who's going to be on the reserve list versus who will actually be added onto the flower, only those with 2 people, not prospects, but 2 people who have committed to joining in, those people get added to the flower, and those people should be in the chat. Those who are interested but don't have 2 people and on the reserve list, they should remain on the reserve list and should only be added in the group once we have found a spot that admin has decided, okay, we're going to put this person in this spot, and then they would the admin would notify them and say, hey, we have a spot that opened up that we're going to be able to put you in. They'll run down, the whole 700 versus getting 800, add them in, and you add them to the group, add them on the flower, and let things move along.
Would it be too much to, would it be too much? Y'all let me know if I'm doing too much. What if we created a new group with all of us in here and then filtered everyone from the old group into Telegram? You know what I mean? Like, we created a new group for the Circle of Trust, maybe Circle of Trust 2, and then we filter the 47 people into that group. That way we can start off fresh. But I don't know. Okay, maybe I'm doing too much.
No, I think you're on to something. I don't think you're doing too much because I don't know who created Circle of Trust, but I know like the people who actually even have the first call with us, I don't even see them no more. They on the Telegram, but they not involved anymore. And so, and then there's people who I add and I'm like, erase him, please. Like delete him. Don't even have him on here. And we can't do it. We can't do it because we don't have the ability to do it because we didn't create it, you know? So I feel the same way. And honestly, I feel like the only people who should be on the Telegram, honestly, I only come on here so I can see the flowers moving. And I do see the conversation and I read the conversation, but I don't necessarily want some of the new people that I'm bringing in to see the conversations because it seems like we're stalled and I'm trying to get them to come in so they can just see the flower moving.
Exactly.
So,
Right.
It goes to the point where Jasmine was saying that we shouldn't have any prospects. Only people who are committed and have 2 people in the just see the flowers. Honestly, if they are already put in for the $100 and have 2 people, then they should have access to the group. And then I feel like only the admin people should be able to update the group or, chat. If you have a question, you can reach out to admin separately. As far as what goes out to everyone in the group, it should be only for admin.
And I think we just need to treat this and like what it is, like for real, what it is. We have, I don't know if any of you all have, are familiar with sororities and fraternities and these secret whatever. We need to treat ourselves like we top notch and we you got to be somebody to get in here and you better come in and we're not playing with you. Nope. That's just what and if you want to talk to my brother or my sister, you're gonna have to get through the filter.
All right, Tondale, throw them hands, why don't you? I think that I think Tondale is right, and Dion, you seem to share her sentiments, but I definitely, because I came into this and I don't really know. It's hard for me because during the week, where I work off site is like I have very limited service, so typically and then I get off work and it's like ridiculous. So I'm usually trying to catch up on like 1,000 messages and it's just too much and too overwhelming along with other things that I got to get done in life, So I think that it would be beneficial. I don't know who's running it, but I have consistently seen Spurge and Dion, communicating, updating, doing things. So I just automatically assumed that y'all were the admins on the group because that was just the role that I seen you guys fulfill. So I think if that's not the case, then it would make sense for you guys to go ahead and start a group. Obviously, everyone that took the time to participate on this call should be invited in, and everyone that is currently on the flower should be in that new group. I think they should be added, and I think that, an explanation from the admin, a little message welcoming and explaining why this new group has been created and encouraging them from now on to respond to this group moving forward. Post the updated flowers, let's get the updated flowers submitted so everyone can see so everyone in the group should see their name on that flower. And if they're not on that flower, they shouldn't even be in the group. The admin is sorted out. I know some people volunteer. I got cut, my phone, my computer overheated. So I think I got disconnected around the time when y'all might've been talking about extra people jumping in on the admin. So whoever is going to be the admins, let's make that clear. Let's announce that so people know who their resources are. They know who they can reach out to. They know who to respond to. And like if they get like Dion has privately reached out to me with certain things. So, and I responded because of the role I've seen her playing in the chat, I assumed she was an admin. So I'm like, yeah, let's talk about it. So this way, if people know who people are when you have to reach out to them privately for things that don't need to be in the whole public chat, they know who you are and why you're reaching out to them, and they'll respond accordingly, even if you're not the person that brought them in, but they understand that you're an admin. And so you're, this is admin duty. They need to respond and correspond to whatever it is that's being asked of them. But I think we should go ahead and make a new group. Spurge, Dion, you guys seem to have taken the bull by the horn. So I think that, whoever's raised their hand to join you in this battle of administration, then let's get that new chat going, because there's 47 people in there. But I know 47 people aren't active, and I know some people are just being quiet because they're new and they're waiting to see what happens, and they're just waiting for their turn. But let's get the flowers updated, and let's add those people that are on those flowers into the new chat and move forward.
And this is part of
You don't have to delete nobody.
It's so funny.
They won't even know nothing changed because they ain't been active.
It's so funny. I think I ask Dion on a daily basis, like, how the hell did you get in this spot to do this? I think we have that conversation like every day. I'm like, how did it become you? And she really did just kind of, just step in when we needed something. So Dion and Spurs, I really appreciate you guys doing that.
Yeah,
So.
I felt like when we joined the first flower, it started. What? You gotta go. Okay. I won't keep you guys. We're like way over.
Yeah. We're talking this month.
But when we first joined, there was 2 other administrators, and the group had 120 something people in it, and I was just like, oh, this is awesome. How can I help? And that's how I started. I was like, how can I help? Because I just seen a bunch of the flowers going around on Telegram, and I was like, well, how are we tracking all this stuff? Like, nobody's tracking it. So I just said, well, I mean, we can put together a quick website that would just kind of store some of this stuff up. And that's just how I got involved. I be telling her every day, you're spending too much time doing this, like, which is why I created the website the way I did, so that it could be self-sustaining. But maybe this administrator part is a little bit daunting to some people. So I appreciate what Dion's doing as well. So I don't want anybody to overcommit to this. We're all in this to build community together, and that's why I'm here. So thank you guys for joining. We'll send out whatever those notes are. I'm pretty sure we have all of your email addresses. So the highlights I'll definitely share, I guess, in the Telegram group. And when this video finishes rendering, I don't know, like Zoom has been doing some weird stuff. I used to be able to post Zoom videos on YouTube, but I can't anymore. So I don't know, I have to figure that out. But somehow we'll get this information to you guys, and I appreciate everybody's participation in this.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thanks. Peace.
And if you guys want to have this again, like,
I can't hear you. I didn't hear anything you just said. Did I miss that? Was it just me?
No, it was everyone heard it.
What?
Okay. I don't know. I don't know what I just said either.
You were saying we want to do it again.
It's time to go, clearly.
But he was asking we wanted to redo this Zoom meeting again.
Oh, yeah. If we want to do another one, like if you guys start having people come in and saying, I have questions, I don't understand, we can either point them to this video or we could have another Zoom call. So I'll leave that up to you guys. And maybe we just do like a once a month thing, where we definitely get on the call and answers people's questions if they have them.
Yeah, that works for me.
Okay, guys.
Perfect.
It's Sunday, fun day. It's birthday weekend.
Oh, happy birthday.
Joy.
Happy birthday. Bye, everyone.
I almost got the bank.
All right, bye, Sergeant.
You get to work on that butterfly. Oh, man. Whew. They'll be dope.
They're good. Oh, Odessa's still here? Leslie here?
I think it's just Who Riders.
Right in the building. What do you think, Oblique? Is it good,
I think it's good. Like, now I got a couple people, I feel a lot better. You never want to be that person that's not pulling weight. But on the flip side, though, I think it's going to be dope having it to where we can bring all these people in and plug them in, and then have them guaranteed to be back in. So that's just one slot. Every time, if we got 20 people on reserve, that's 20 slots that we always have to put back in this way. So that's going to resolve some issues right there, you know. And the more people we get like that, it'll just become easier and easier just to put them in because they can go wherever, and they have to come back in. So you're going to always have those slots. I think that's going to help it. And if we all commit to doing the same thing, like you said, we get to that 105 to 120 level, and we can kind of just regenerate with the people that we have here. I was talking to like with Ola, I guess there's like a $500 one that she's a part of, where they advertise it where you just have to do, you know, you don't have to recruit, because I guess they have so many people that they're only getting people when someone drops out for whatever reason. And then they're adding one person in. I think they have about 130. They get paid every 21 days, but it's just like they get, I think it's 3,200. It's a total of 3,700, I think, but they put 500 automatically back in from everybody to keep it going without having to add new people all the time. So they only have to add people now when one person drops out. But they got to that critical mass level.
I feel like we should just have a network of people who are down. And then when another flower pops up, one person goes in and we just kind of follow the train.
Just follow the ride, yeah. I think that actually makes sense. But I think it's the foundation of building that right here. Like it's just like it's dope. But if we have like that kind of networking to kind of like get in on a lot of different groups with that same collective energy to help push it through. So I'm with it. Anyway, bro, I'm about to go out. Enjoy your weekend.
How's the album?
Man, I'm gonna start recording probably next month.
I want to write another verse. I don't know if you knocked all the songs out, but
nah, like we haven't even started recording yet. I'm not gonna start recording till next month. And I still got like my homeboy, like he's swapping a verse for me, trying to do some work for him. So he's trying to, there's a distillery in Los Angeles called Litco by the Staples Center. And I guess they want him to do like 5 videos. So he's having me talk as his manager to get him, you know, the maximum money. So I'm trying to get him 5 Gs and able to use the media and things like that. But he's gonna, in return for that, you know, I'm gonna get 10%. But on top of that, he's doing some verses, and he's gonna try to, like, as far as like get someone that can like mix it, you know, at like a professional level. So we'll see how that works. But it's gonna be recorded next month regardless. So yeah, if you hear anything else that you like, that you feel moved, you know, it's like I just want to do it with just like a whole bunch of dope people that I respect. So
have you heard some sick? Are there some sick verses?
What?
Are there some dope verses?
There is, man. My homeboy Felix has like a verse that had me rewriting stuff.
I need one of those. I need to hear something.
He ain't gonna song me.
Yeah.
Not my own album, shoot. Like, wait, hold up, homie.
Did NYO put one? Did he drop one?
He's working on one. He hasn't given it to me yet. And I'm working on this one cat from Atlanta, and then this the cat that I'm doing the thing for Litco with in LA. And other than that, it's just you know what I'm saying? That's it. Like you, NYO, Felix, the cat Monk, and the cat Quam Scott, and that's it. So yeah, it should be pretty dope. And I'm just looking at different avenues of how to get out there, because part of the plan is also to do like a video, like a you know how Michael Jackson did his Moonwalker, where he had a whole bunch of separate images that equated to like the whole song, kind of like, or the whole album. So the whole ideal is to like take each song and make visuals around it to make like a visual mixtape as well as the other aspect of the album, you know. But because I don't have any of the clearances, it's all gonna be for free. So it gotta be, you know, low cost. So I'm trying to like work that out right now. Directors that can do their image, you know, can put their ideals and images together that won't cost, just be down for the project. I have like 2 down, but I have 8 tracks. So I'm still on the early stages of that. So yeah, if it comes out dope, man, it's gonna be like real interesting visuals, an album, and it's kind of pushed out there for the world for free. So yeah,
Can't wait to hear it. Okay, I'm out. All right, bro. Les, I don't know if you're still on, but talk to you
I'm
later.
still on.
peace
I'm
out.
still on. I was just listening and yeah, thinking. But okay, I'll talk to you guys later.
And have a great evening, guys.
You too.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.